everybody, it's Julie. Thanks for joining me here today for some Bible journaling. I'm going to be using the For the Good kit, the collection from Creative Retreat Kits for the month of July. And I'm going to be journaling here in the book of Genesis. This devotional and this study takes us through the story of Joseph in the book of Genesis. And then there's also a key verse, which is Romans 8:28, which I'm going to cross-link. So the story of Joseph is all crazy, and it's like a puzzle that all these pieces just don't seem to fit together. And then in the end, it's this beautiful picture of how God saves a nation, not just the Egyptian nation, but those surrounding. And then the family of Jacob, Joseph's father, they are able to flourish in this land, which then sets them up for their future promise. So it's how God redeems us in bad situations and how he's orchestrating all these moving pieces that we just can't see when we're in the midst of them. So I'm going to be journaling this verse right here that says, this is after Joseph's father died, and he's already forgiven the brothers chapters earlier, but now they're still worried that Joseph is going to be angry with them and get revenge on them after Jacob died. They thought that Jacob may be protecting them. And Joseph's brothers came and fell down before him and said, "Behold, we are your servants." They're submitting to him. But Joseph said to them, "Do not fear, for am I in the place of God? As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today." Then he says, "So do not fear, I will provide for you and your little ones." So this is a picture of God and how he forgives us. Even though we have wronged him, we have betrayed him, we have been unfaithful to him, he still forgives us, and he tells us, "Do not fear, I will provide for you. I will provide." So I'm going to be doing some journaling, and I am using the Faithfilled Digitals, these pattern swatches here. So I've cut out some letters with these patterns using a Sizzix Alpha set. So I will link it if it's available. It's one I bought several years ago. It's just a very versatile, good one. So I'm going to use that, and I spelled out the word mint, and then also Jen for Genesis, so you can see how I alternated the colors. I also took let's see where I can find it. I took the traceable piece and I downsized it and printed it off in 4 pieces on, you can see here, on these pattern swatches. So I'm going to cut these out and then put these puzzles together with the different pieces. All right, then I'm going to use some of the physical kit, some of the decor stickers, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to use. Maybe some of the stamps, we'll see. I'm going to put you on fast forward, we'll get started. Okay, so there I've cut out the puzzle pieces, and now I have all those pieces, which I can make 4 separate little heart puzzles. I'm going to begin by doing some stenciling with this fun stencil pattern. And all I'm using is a baby wipe. I want kind of a soft look. You could do a variety. You could use a blending brush or acrylic paint. I'm just using the inks and picking it up and applying it with a baby wipe. I am using 4 different colors here. This is a Waterfall, then Pomegranate, then Powderpuff Blue, and also Mermaid Teal. So I'm going to do kind of a diagonal spread of these puzzle pieces. There we go. So I went ahead and finished it up, and now I'm going to add a little bit of black splatter paint with that. So I just wet my black paint and pick it up with a wet paintbrush. Okay, so here are the puzzle pieces, and I'm also using this pattern paper to cut out a tab for the top of my page, and I realized there that I had not cut out my A for the word mint, so I had to go back and do that. And now I'm going to make some puzzle pieces out of these pattern papers. I'm using the outline stamp from the Faith Art box, and I stamped it on a couple of those pattern swatches, and now I'm going to cut those out. So here I've got a couple pieces, and now I'm going to put my heart together. And you see I could make 4 different hearts like that, but they're all going to be different. There I stamped the word God, and I used the Lucie alphabet stamp, which is one of my favorite ones from Creative Retreat. And I'm going to say God meant it for good. So I'm using my tweezers and Barely Art craft glue with a precision tip to glue these pieces down. I could also run them through a Xyron sticker machine. It does help using the tweezers. And now you can't see those letters too well until I outline them, and then we'll be able to see it better. Here I'm using the Alpha Tile stickers from the Faith Art box, and I'm spelling out, well, what I say here is for the good, but I realize it and I switch it later because the verse says God meant it for good, and I spelled here God meant for the good. So it was a little weird and wrong, so I fixed that a little bit later. Now I realized that in order to fix this puzzle, it's easiest putting it on a backing. So I'm gluing it down to some cardstock, and I also realized that the size I did is the perfect size for the stamp, the one that's a heart with the puzzle pieces in the stamp set. I didn't realize that here until I was working on another project, but just a tip, that would be helpful if you want to do that. So I cut that out, glued it down and cut it out, and then I'm going to come in and outline those pieces a little bit more too. I'm going to use these puzzle pieces to kind of flank my title on the top and the bottom, and then that heart puzzle down at the bottom. And this just reminds me that even though the pieces of my life, the moments of my life, don't seem to fit together, and they may have all different images and pictures and things going on, they all fit together perfectly according to God's plan. Joseph's life was crazy, and it just seemed that every turn it was going wrong for him. And then it would go right, and then it would go wrong. If you haven't studied the story of Joseph in Genesis, then spend some time doing that. It's just, you can learn so much. So here I'm using the one of the labels from the Faithfilled Digitals and the tiles, and then also the GEN that I cut out for Genesis. Really wanted to highlight the text reference, and then I will also underneath it write the reference for Romans 8:28. I'm going to glue that down, and I do save some space in between the puzzle piece and the heart puzzle to do a little bit of journaling. Gluing my heart down now, and then I'm going to come over, just fix that a little bit, add more of that glue. Again, once I outline all of these pieces, you'll be able to see them better. Right now they're getting lost on the background. I made a bow clip out of just some fabric, and I put some washi tape up there from my stash, and I'm going to put my tab and that bow clip. And right now I'm just figuring out what I'm going to put on my tab. So I use the stamp that says good from the stamp set. And then this is one of the word fetty pieces that says for the good, but I'm cutting out the word for, just trimming it down. And I'm applying that for my tab, so it's going to say for good. God's purposes are for good, for our good, for His good, for everyone's good. It's just the basis of God's goodness and His purpose. Then the way it works out in our lives is just a beautiful picture. So I pull out the little sticker that says for his purpose, and I'm going to put that on top of the heart, but I felt like it needed to be a little bit 3D, so I put some backing on it with cardstock, just cut that out with a circle punch and trim that. Then I'm going to apply some foam adhesive, double-sided foam adhesive, so it pops off the page a little bit off that heart, but I want to outline it in black, so I just hold it with my tweezers and gently rub it along the edges of my black ink pad, and that gives it an outline. And I stick that down. Now I'm just placing all these pieces here and there. Now here's where I outline all of my elements, and you could just see them kind of come to life. They become revealed, they stand out, they pop off, they don't get so lost on the background, especially those light colors. So I'm just outlining all of those, all the different elements that I cut out. I realized I left the T off. I come back and fix that in a few minutes. There it is. Yep. Now here, I do stamp the date next to the Genesis, and it gets very messy because I'm kind of there in the gutter in the middle of the page, in the middle of the Bible, at the gutter. So I fix it by covering it up with one of the blue labels. Now I added some wonky hearts, and I loved how the little circle hearts fit perfectly inside that O. I'm outlining the passage here in Genesis chapter 50. And then off screen I do some journaling, and it says, God worked out all the pieces of Joseph's life according to his purpose for the good of all. Okay, here I'm covering up my messy stamping. Messy stamping is certainly okay, but I had this label and I thought it would be fun to use it, so I did. Now I'm doing the cross reference of Romans 8:28, and then I'll do my journaling, add my bow at the top, and that is it for my page. Here are some close-up shots. It's colorful, it's bright, it's fun. I love all the different patterns. It just reminds me of how God takes our messy lives, and even though it doesn't seem to all fit together, he fits it together for his good, for our good, for the good of others. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Leave a comment or a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.